if you're watching this, I'm Kate, and today is my 23rd birthday, and I am so excited to be sharing this video with you. I have thought of numerous things to do for my birthday, and I thought the best thing I could do is to actually just give back to you for all the love and support and encouragement that you've been giving me through my highs and my lows and all the in-betweens. So today I am sharing my story with you. I feel like I've been holding back for a really long time, and I just feel like I haven't been not just like fully honest with you about just me and what goes on in my mind. And I think that I owe it to you because I don't want to be waiting for such a long time to tell you my truth and just who I am. So I'm gonna stop rambling now and actually get on with this video and tell you just a little bit about who I am and why I started this whole internet-y thing. And yeah, so I hope that you watch this. I hope that you enjoy it and just feel empowered and inspired in some sort of way to pursue your own personal goals and, most importantly, your happiness. So let's get on with this video. So, assuming that you're still here, you actually want to hear my story and my truth and who I am and any other synonyms for what this video is. So, if you have been following me for about 6 months to a year, you probably know me as a life and style influencer. I just talk about everything. I'm witty. I don't really give any craps. I have a very unfiltered personality, and that does not change in real life. For those of you who have met me can probably testify that while I am a little bit shy around new people at first, I do warm up pretty quickly and pretty well. So that has not always been the case. However, in fact, this attitude has been really recent, and it has to do just with a lot of things. And I'm just gonna run through kind of a quick story of why I started being on the internet, this whole internet-y thing, and kind of like just my life story. I do want to give a little bit of a disclaimer and say that if you are experiencing any mental health issues, like anxiety, depression, just not accepting yourself or respecting yourself, please find someone to talk to. You will soon see that that was a mistake I made by not just talking about what I'm going through with other people. So I don't want you to get to the point of where I was, being super numb to just painful things and just numb to the things that are happening in my life. So please find someone to talk to, whether it's a parent, a friend, a therapist. There's no shame in that, and I really want you to feel like you have someone in your life, because honestly, like, there is probably nothing worse than being alone, at least to me, and feeling like you don't really have anyone on your side because you feel like no one understands you. So that is definitely something very, very important. So make sure you have someone in your corner. So my internet story. I basically started putting my life on the internet maybe around middle school. Middle school for me was around like 2007, 2008, and this was around the time when Facebook got like super hype and nobody was really using MySpace anymore. Everybody started going to Facebook and all of that. This was also the same year that cyberbullying just like really became a thing. Like, people were calling it something, people were calling it cyberbullying, like it was a thing. It wasn't just like negativity being thrown around. And I became victim to cyberbullying. In fact, pretty severe bullying on the internet. There was a website called Formspring. It is now called Ask FM. And to me, to this day, this is drama.org. I feel like back then it was such a new thing and people didn't really know about what they were getting into when they signed up for an account. But now, like, if you are getting an account on Ask FM right now, you are knowingly asking for negativity. I don't know how to put it any other way, but that was where I just got bombarded, for lack of a better term, with just hate. I went to a very small school. We had about 43 people in my graduating class, and because Ask FM is anonymous, I had no idea who in my class was bullying me, and just horrible things were being said when I was, 13 or 14. Like, I took those things super personally, but now I'm like, that was trash. That wasn't worth paying attention to. But at the time, it was a really big deal, and it really hurt because I was already the new weird kid in my class, and I just didn't feel like I had anybody in my corner or any friends or anything. So that was probably the experience that kind of set off everything. The worst part about cyberbullying is that you can pull up all of that at any time. Actually, the most recent time I pulled those things up was when I had to speak at a gala for anti-bullying causes. And in order to write my speech, I wanted to kind of get in that headspace of what I was feeling when I was 13 or 14 being bullied. And I pulled up all of my accounts and all these things that were being said by people, and it was hurtful. I mean, just seeing all of that was like, wow, like this was, this was high school for me. In middle school, I never went to prom with a date. I didn't have any boyfriends in high school or middle school. I didn't really have any friends. I was the lone wolf in all senses of that term, spending lunch oftentimes in the bathroom because I didn't have anyone to talk to, and just getting to school at 8 a.m. and waiting until 3 p.m. when my mom would pick me up. Like, it was just scary because I didn't know who was really in my corner, who wasn't in my corner, and my way of finding an outlet for that was studying a lot, but also going on Tumblr and blogging and just letting out all my feelings. And that's just kind of where I started. I started on Tumblr, and I was writing actual posts. So I was composing blog posts on Tumblr, kind of as a journal, and just writing how I felt and letting out everything I had to say. And I made sure that nobody from high school could find me because a lot of stuff that was written about what I went through day to day at school. And I realized when I was getting reblogged and regrammed, or whatever the term is, for Tumblr, I realized how many other people felt the same way that I did. And it made me feel supported, but also it made me just go crazy at the fact that there are strangers that I don't even know on the internet. This is around the time when mom would be don't talk to strangers online. These people were more supportive towards me and what I'm going through than the people that are in my life, really in my life, people that I see day to day. And that to me was mind-blowing. And I kind of realized then and there that I think I found the place that I want to call home, and that for me was the internet, is the internet. I love being on the internet, and that's because I feel like I found real friends here and just people who really get it and people who experience the same thing, because when you're being bullied, you don't understand the fact that there are others going through the same thing. You think it's just you, and there is no one else there, and no one else gets it, and it was really hard for me. And it was also one of those experiences that caused me to not be able to trust people. To this day, it is very, very difficult for me to make real friends, not because I can't socialize or can't talk to people. I'm an extrovert. I live for people. But because I just can't seem to find that part of me that can tell people this, that can be hey, this is my life story, and this is who I am, these are the things that make me me. A lot of the times in my social interactions, I kind of just refrain from saying any of these things or getting too deep and personal with somebody, because I automatically assume that they're going to take advantage of that. And it's really, really difficult, and I feel like even when I'm talking about it now, like, it doesn't feel like I actually feel that way, but this is what the point that I made in the video. I have become very numb to negativity, to bullying, to hurtful things. I have become numb to them. To people observing from the outside, it looks like I just don't care. And it looks like I just don't give a shit. But in reality, I'm numb to it. So like, if I get a negative comment online, if somebody says something mean to me in person, I will move on, but not because I'm okay with it or I don't care. I will move on because it's something I already expect, and something I expect before I expect kindness. And from highs and lows, I felt like I was really doing well in school, but at the same time, I was also incredibly suicidal for a large majority of high school, and I don't believe my mom knows about that. So again, I just kept shutting myself out from people very close to me, from obviously people in high school, and no one really knew anything about me. I was kind of that weird kid that like was there in school and like people thought stuff about me, but nobody really knew who I was, and I've kept up that image to this day. I feel like people I go to grad school with now, weird rearrangement of words, do not know really much about me. I'm kind of feel like I've in life have kind of branded myself as this like person who's there and like looks approachable, but there's something like mysterious and weird about her, and that is the fact that I am extremely afraid to make real relationships with people. That is a big fear of mine, because every single time I've done it, I've just gotten burned, and now I expect that, and that troubles me a lot. Don't get me wrong, I do have friends in real life. I've made real connections with people, but most of them have been through the internet. So like even my real life friends, a lot of them I have met online, and then we met in real life. Like, that sounds wild to say, but I felt like those people understood what I was going through more than the people that like physically, literally walk this earth around me all the time. So that has been a very hard thing for me. Instagram has become kind of my like outlet. I don't want this to be a perception that like, oh my god, you act totally different in real life. No, if you watch my stories on a regular basis and you meet me in real life, there is nothing that will change. I don't try to create a character or an alter ego for myself. I have already tried that in the past, and it does not work because A, I eventually break out of character, and B, that's just not me, and it's a lot more tiring for me to pretend to be someone else. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot more natural, a lot easier for me to be myself. And I feel like that a few years ago was not something I could say for myself. It was a lot easier to be someone else and to escape my own life for a little bit, to create this image about myself. When I was younger, especially like in high school, I would lie a lot about who I was. I remember telling people that like I was related to celebrities and that like I had, you know, all these great connections just to put myself into somebody else's world because I didn't want to be in my own. So that, I feel like, definitely is no longer a thing. I am very self-aware, and obviously since I'm making this video, I have accepted myself and who I am, but that was a stage of my life that I underwent. So Instagram, social media, blogging has become kind of just like an outlet. And I initially started because I wanted to get away from my real world, like I said. So when I first started blogging, and I had like a blog, I had a site that I no longer use because I just felt like it wasn't really what I wanted. I created a character for myself. So every single time I blogged, every single time I was on social media, it was that character. And in real life, I was like that character, but just slightly different, slightly more maybe lone wolfy, maybe a little bit more broody, and a little bit more like inside of a box that I was expected to be in. College was definitely a little bit more liberating, and after I left high school, I just felt a little bit more clear-headed. I felt like I was coming into a new environment where I could be myself, and I found a group of people that are incredible, and to this day, obviously still stay in touch, and felt like I didn't really need to be on the internet anymore. I kind of ceased very active participation in the internet. I stopped blogging on Tumblr. I was no longer sad and upset and all this other stuff. But I didn't realize until literally maybe about a few months ago that the reason that I was feeling that way was because that is when my numbness had kicked in. And I was just, when I met people, I noticed that I was meeting them expecting them to lie to me, expecting them to take advantage of me, expecting them to hurt me in some sort of way. And I realized that if you expect that, that's exactly what you're gonna get. So I went through some friendships that weren't great, some relationships that were toxic, just over and over and over and over, thinking, why the hell am I going through this all the time? And without hesitation can now say that it was definitely mindset. You know, expecting the worst from people is exactly what you're gonna get when you expect that. So when I expected to get burned, I did every single time, and it sucks. And over and over and over, I kept coming back to the internet. I would disappear and then I'd come back, and then I'd disappear and then I'd come back. When things were good, I'd disappear. When things were bad, I'd come back. That was kind of like my cycle through, and my relationship through the internet. I didn't really start taking like blogging and like all of that seriously until literally maybe like less than a year ago, just because I finally felt kind of like a starting balance in my mind that like I want to put my life on the internet, but I don't want to do it because I feel horrible in my real life. I want to do it because my real life is great and I want to let other people in. And that's kind of like why a year ago I really began prioritizing blogging and prioritizing, you know, I hate the word influencer, but that's kind of like what it is. But it wasn't really until I watched Jeffrey's video with Shane Dawson a couple weeks ago that it settled in that like, wow, I don't think I'm really being myself. I love creating these beautiful pictures, and I love creating these stories, and I love, you know, sharing my style and my clothes and like all of that, but there's a part of me that I'm not really sharing, and that part is super important, and that part is this. That part is being able to talk to you without having to disappear for hours because I don't feel good or I'm not in a good headspace and I don't want to be on stories, or like going a few days without posting something, coming back and not explaining anything. I don't want to do that. If I do disappear, I want to come back explaining like, hey, I'm going through some stuff. This is what I'm going through. And like I said before, the internet has never failed me. To this day, knock on wood, I have never received a negative comment from anybody following me, from anybody who found me on Instagram or YouTube. I have never received a negative comment. And that to me is absolutely phenomenal. That says so much about you guys. That says so much about the people on the internet. And that says a lot about how you come into a relationship, what you are expecting. Because I've always expected and always known that there is good on the internet. And while there is a lot of shitty stuff, like don't get me wrong, I was also a victim of the internet. but there are so many good people here, and it's because it's a matter of mindset. It's a matter of like expecting them to be good, and they are. And sometimes, yes, sometimes you get hurt, and sometimes you get bullied, and sometimes shit hits the fan, but you have to come out of the matter expecting that there is good. Like, there is good that circles in this world, that is on the internet, and I've always had that mindset here, so I'm very lucky. If I get a negative comment after I make this video, screw you. But, yeah, so I've just struggled a lot with self-acceptance, with myself. If you have noticed, I'm just throwing a lot of facts at you. I don't know how to like transition this video into different points. Like, I didn't script this. I'm just telling you everything I think that you would be interested to know about who I am. If you noticed, I have never posted bikini pics or, you know, Kate in like crop tops or a bunch of skin showing. That is because, well, I did actually a few days ago, probably my first one, pat on the back. That is partially because I never, until very recently, felt comfortable in my own skin. I used to wear a lot of long sleeves, and I would tell people that's because I like wearing long sleeves. No, I'm not self-harming. I don't want to say that. I felt like, oh, maybe like my arms are ugly, or like my shoulders aren't great, or like blah, 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 blah. I just kept labeling myself as inadequate. And to hide that, I would wear oversized things and a bunch of sweaters in like October, September in Georgia. Or didn't start wearing skirts until a few months ago, actively. I haven't bought a single dress until about a few weeks ago. So it's like really crazy, and just wild. I've been undergoing a kind of like mental clearance, and just have been working on self-acceptance and not really giving any craps. As you can tell, I have pink hair. People with pink hair get stared at. People who are wearing pink eyeshadow get stared at. People who are wearing hats in Georgia when it's 90 degrees outside get stared at. And no, I'm not doing it because I want attention or I want people to look at me. Trust me, girl, that's not what I want. I'm just doing it because I don't care. And I'm not doing it because I want to be invisible, or that's my way of hiding, or like that's my way of seeking attention because I don't feel good about myself. I am doing it genuinely for the first time because that's what I want to do. And I kind of like, my goal with this video is, yes, to share about myself and to open up to you guys, but it's also the goal of self-acceptance and really like admitting things to myself. I mean, basically what's happening right now is I'm sitting in my room by myself talking to a camera, which from there will go to YouTube, and from there you are now watching. So I started this by talking to myself into a camera, and that's basically like having a conversation with myself that like, hey, you are good enough. In fact, you are awesome. You are kick-ass, and you deserve to be treated with kindness and to expect kindness, and you deserve to expect good things from people because there is good somewhere. And if only you have the right mindset, that good will find you and you will find that good. So that's just a conversation that I also want to have with myself, and also to inspire and empower you that if you do feel alone and you don't feel like if you feel like you're not enough, girl, guys, people, I have been there and still struggling with that all the time. But ultimately know that like, we are all enough. There's room here for all of us to succeed. There's room here for all of us to meet our goals. There's room here for all of us to be kind and good to each other. And if people choose to be negative, to step on each other to get ahead, that's their problem. That is not yours. And you are not the problem if people do that to you. Unless, you know, you did that to them first, then that's probably an act of revenge and you can sort that out later. But yeah, it's just, this is just a conversation I have sometimes with myself in my mind, and I think that putting it out here on the internet for you maybe to hear and feel inspired and empowered and feel good, then if it's even like one person that feels that way after watching this whole thing, then that's enough for me. So I've been through a lot and I'm still here, and every single thing that you've been through, that just makes you stronger. And the people that have hurt you, they have made you stronger. And for me personally, anyone who has ever spread negativity or said something about me that was rude and unkind, or just has been unkind to me in some sort of way, I want to thank you, because that has caused me to sit right here in front of you and say, man, I feel pretty good about myself. So, I know maybe that you were expecting some sort of emotional video and some sort of like cry fest. I'm not going to do that. It's not who I am. I don't deal with my problems that way. And I don't judge anybody who does, but I want this to feel like I want you to walk away from this video feeling like, wow, I really learned something about her today, but also, wow, like I feel amazing and I feel really great about who I am. And because you are, like, that's just that simple. So I feel like on social media, a lot of the times what we do is we will present the highlight reel of our life. We will present the highlight reel of our personality, and everything in between isn't good enough because that's too real for social media. The internet is my home, and I want people who come to my page, who send me a message, who watch my stories, to feel like they are literally in my life, like they are at home. Anyways, thank you so much again for watching. I know this was a lot, but yes, I'm very grateful, and I will see you in the next video, hopefully soon. And go like have a piece of cake or a drink or whatever for my birthday, because it's your girl's Jordan year, and it's also Beyonce's birthday. So if you're wishing her a happy birthday, I better see you commenting on my page.